This is Media Break. You give us 3 minutes, and we'll give you the world.
Good morning. I'm Morgweir. Our top story today, housing. Investors are buying so many homes in this day and age that the price of a home has skyrocketed, which makes people wonder, if these so few people are buying them all, how many rooms do they really need? In other news, the sequel to the horror movie Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, has been announced, and we might start seeing some information on it in late 2024. Leaked rumors have come into the World Wide Web that the Chinese president himself will be on set during the filming process. We will be back in a moment.
Has the market brought you down? Have prices gone up, but your paycheck remained the same? Do you think that the world will not last much longer? Well, dread no more. Introducing the Mesa Stasis newest release, the Mesa Stasis Hinder 2000. With our latest release, the need for luxurious trailer park homes, public pools, and your mother-in-law's room are no more. With virtual reality technology, you can have it all at the comfort of your living room, with no bills, no taxes, and no restricted space. All for the simple price. Mesa Stasis. Live how you want. Assembly may be required. Mesa Stasis Hinder 2000 is not responsible for any fatigue, headaches, nausea, suicides, or neck pain.
In the early 2010s, Hollywood was on a remake rampage, taking things that were created by more creative and talented people from 20 to 30 years ago, and trying to cash in on the magic of it once again. We have seen this with Total Recall 2012, Ben-Hur 2016, Nightmare on Elm Street from 2010, and Robocop 2014. When a remake usually fails, the franchise is officially over. Sadly, this meant the end of Robocop. With Robocop getting a movie remake, fans wondered if Alex Murphy would ever get the chance into the video game industry like he did in the 90s with 2D shooters for each movie. Video game developer Teon and publishers Nacon, known for making video games about 80s movies, who created Terminator Resistance and Rambo the video game, have awoken from their slumber and heard the cries for help on getting Robocop to the video game screen, and have announced Robocop Rogue City. But how did this game finally fare? Did it do justice to Paul Verhoeven's greatest movie of all time? We go now to Juby Scott to tell you all about it.
This is a look into Robocop Rogue City. Alex Murphy, Ann Lewis, and even the old man are back. Nacon has brought old Detroit into the 21st century in terms of upgraded graphics so that we can see how truly gross old Detroit was. You play as Robocop, who is actually Alex Murphy, who was killed in the line of duty during his first patrol in old Detroit after being transferred here by OCP. Was Alex Murphy really brought here to help the police force get a hold on crime? Or were they truly letting cops die for their own schemes by slashing their budget down so badly, making sure that cops didn't stand a chance? After Alex Murphy is killed in action, OCP takes his body, strips him down to the point where he is just a brain, heart, and some organs, from what we know, and turn him into the city's lethal protector, Robocop. Robocop was a huge box office hit when it came out in 1987. Which gave it 2 more sequels, a remake in 2014, comics, video games, TV shows, and even a statue of Robocop in actual Detroit. To say Robocop was a one-off 80s thing would be so far from the truth. But a lot of youngsters might not even be familiar with him. Even the Robocop remake in 2014 failed to catch audiences as it failed in almost every way to capture the amazing time capsule of Paul's original movie. But Nacon did it. For the first time in almost 30 years, we got something that feels like it can sit right to the original trilogy, Robocop Rogue City. Before we get into the schematics and armor plating, I just want to say this for my younger audience. Please don't disregard this game if you haven't seen the movies. At least the first 2. While this game is set between Robocop 2 and 3, the gameplay and story alone make it worth playing. While it's definitely a game for the fans of the series, it is absolutely something you can play on its own. And it will make you curious about this world and hopefully make you want to explore it even more by checking out its other media. With that being said, let's get started. Robocop Rogue City takes place after Robocop 2. Robocop 2.5 Rogue City would be appropriate. This means that Murphy has already been killed and became Robocop. Clarence Bodiger and Emil and the Bodiger gang being killed. I mentioned him specifically for the reason, ignore the bad grammar. Dick Jones had been exposed, Kane being killed in Robocop 2, or more known as Robocane, had been destroyed. We now meet up with Old Detroit with a news broadcast being interrupted by a gang known as the Torchheads, putting out a message for a new guy who is looking to expand his business in Detroit. The Torchheads seem to be the first version of the Splatterpunks, at least that's what it looks like, the inspiration, which I mean, it makes sense continuity-wise, but the Splatterpunks were never the most famous gang. Luckily, they are not the only enemies you fight. Back at the TV studio, this is when Robocop steps in and takes on the Torchheads and saves the news crew. But then, something interesting happens.
Hey, no sudden moves, cop! I'm not dying here! Get me another one of those choppers, like the one that took Soot! You hear me?
You worked so hard, honey. Why don't you take some leave? We all could use a little break from this reality, don't you think?
Wakey, wakey! I'm talking to you, Shiny! Stand back from that door, or I'll shoot her! I swear to nuke!
I don't know what I would do if I ever lost you.
You got 3 seconds! 3!
Our family is the only thing I need to be happy.
2! Are you fucking deaf?
Promise me, we will stay like this forever.
1! Last chance, weirdo!
I love you so much, Alex. You okay there, Murphy? What does it want? Get it away from me!
I am sorry.
Can you see? It's unstable! Ma'am, please, calm down. It's been a very tough evening, and I assure you that everyone wants to be back home with their families. Though for some of us, the night has just begun.
Robocop is still having issues with separating the man and the machine, and OCP is not happy with it, bringing in a new chip that will evaluate Robocop while he's out stopping crimes. If you complete all side objectives, you will get a higher rating and access to more skill points to use to upgrade your Robocop, putting it into armor, damage, detection, perception, and even more, making mostly everyone's Robocops unique. As you go through the story, you learn some amazing things that connect to the film's universe, which is such a nice love letter to the franchise. Without spoiling, you even find out what happened to the old man. Yes, that is the only title/name he was ever given. They respect it even in this game. Since he was not in Robocop 3, Dan O'Hurley apparently read the script for Robocop 3 and turned it down instantly. The only explanation in the film universe was that he was dead. And Robocop Rogue City sheds a lot more light on this situation. After the harsh talk from OCP, Murphy heads back out on the street and then begins his investigation on who this new guy is and how to stop him and the Torchheads from working together. During all of these, you have these little open world segments that allow you to interact with the world and even start building a reputation with the people of Old Detroit, which can lead to different things happening. Like, if you support the current mayor of Old Detroit, Marvin Kuzak, you support the people to make their own decisions and don't believe OCP should be allowed to buy an entire city.
One of the more contentious points brought up during the election is the construction of Delta City. Many believe that Delta City will destroy Old Detroit. Mayor Kuzak spoke at length about the illegal evictions that OCP has been planning in order to start the construction. Other candidates, namely John Mills, believe that Delta City is a chance to clean up the city. What are your thoughts on this subject? Is Delta City the future of old Detroit?
Delta City will be Detroit's downfall.
So you agree with Mayor Kuzak that Delta City will bring more harm to the city? Thank you for clarifying your stance on this important topic.
Or you can listen to the people who built you and side with OCP's runner-up. Or you can literally do neither and not get into politics at all for OCP or Old Detroit. While this is all going on, Detroit is also fighting a political issue. Is Robocop considered human? This comes up in your discussion with your psych evaluator, Dr. Olivia Blanche, leading to some very big decision makings to change the story.
I understand this is not an ideal situation, and this is probably the last place you want to be right now.
I'm not the only one unwilling to be here. Your heart rate is above 120 BPM.
You're equipped with a heart rate monitor? I imagine it comes in handy in your line of work.
It does.
I agree this whole thing is happening rather fast, but we are both professionals at helping others. So how about we start again? My name is Dr. Olivia Blanche. Naturally, I've heard people refer to you by different names, but I'm curious to hear which one you prefer.
My name is Alex Murphy.
Then I'll call you Alex Murphy.
My first playthrough had Detroit not support in recognizing as a human, and Dr. Olivia Blanche didn't trust me with humanity's safety, and referred to me as Robocop instead of Murphy. It's so great to see simple things like this change in the story depending on the way you want your Robocop to be. I mostly went for the machine more than man playstyle, where I was very aggressive and front-facing, as was Murphy in the beginning of Robocop 1. So being granted human rights wasn't a shock to me, but did bum me out since I always did objectives to save everyone. Dicks. Other small crimes can happen as well, and depending on how you handle them, it can work towards your prime directives. Issuing tickets, letting petty thefts off with a warning. Basically, are you a human or are you a machine? Are you Alex or are you Robocop? I would continue on with the story from here, and I will touch on it here and there, but I don't want to spoil too much because this game is something you need to play in order to get the most enjoyment out of it. So, let's move on after this break.
Hey you, inflation? Am I right? The world is getting crazy out there, and ain't no one going to help you. But you can help yourself with OCP's newest ideal, donating organs. Here at OCP, you can help fellow members of soon-to-be Delta City live to see the beautiful creation we have in store for you all. Donating organs of any kind can help save the life of others. That means donate organs like, for example, a heart. You don't need that. A liver. Definitely don't need that. Your grandfather's left kidney. He doesn't need it. That sticky foot that you ripped off of your fellow employer at your workplace? He doesn't need it. Donate it. And make yourself some cold hard cash to spend on OCP products. OCP Organ Drive. We make a difference.
We now return to a look into Robocop Rogue City.
The biggest thing you have probably heard about this game is the gameplay, and how it brings nothing new to the FPS genre. While that is true, nothing here is brand new, I never went into this thinking Robocop was gonna change the FPS genre. I just wanted a video game about my favorite cyborg of all time, and they deliver on it perfectly. The Auto 9, the strength of Robocop throwing objects and even enemies is insane. The gore, the enemy's reactions to getting shot with a 3-round burst 50 cal pistol. Hands, legs, feet, balls, and even pieces of cover and walls getting blown off and thrown everywhere is such a beautiful sight to behold. When I was going through the factory area, while I was on the trail of some biker gangs, and as I was going through, the original factory scene in Robocop 1 kept playing in my head. It would have been even better if the original soundtrack was playing during this chaos. As mentioned, there are different gangs as well as different enemies as well. Snipers, grenadiers, heavy armored enemies, enemies with face coverings only, shotguns, and more. You even fight against Ed 209s and another super special enemy at the end that I will not spoil here. If you are a fan of the films like I am, you will see places from the movies as well as the junkyard where Murphy was killed, the locker room of the police station, Robocop's chair, OCP Tower itself. The set pieces in this game really complement the fans. You feel like you are in this universe, and it's all amazing. The characters are also ripped right out of the films. Even the villain is related to someone I mentioned earlier, so it's not just a one-off villain for no reason. Much like a movie, if you are being shown something, it matters in the context of storytelling. Everything matters. There is a reason the biker's base is in the abandoned factory. You see the death of Murphy. You go to OCP because, like in the past, you know they are corrupt, even though they made you. Murphy knows that they aren't the best people in the world, and has no issues going after them, whether his directives allow him or not. You get to go into the office and you see the box where the Desert Eagle was brought in during the Ed 209 demonstration, which has been like over a year and a half since it happened, so why is it still there? Going through these locations was like nostalgia, and I wasn't even born when these movies came out, but I experienced them as a kid, so they're nostalgic to me. I can only imagine how someone who went to the movie theater to see these original movies and then playing these games would feel. Speaking of, nostalgic locations are nice, but then hearing the man himself, Peter Weller, voicing Robocop again is such an amazing accomplishment from Nacon.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
I can't believe Dr. Weller had time to do this, and I am so grateful he did. Looking at the rest of the cast, it looks like no one else came back. But I will say the replacements they got for Lewis, the Chief, the Mayor, and even the Old Man do a tremendous job, and I seriously give props to all of them. The iconic lines from everyone is such a nice that it made me jump out of my seat when he did it. The simple things like twirling your Auto 9, the ability to upgrade your Auto 9 where it doesn't need to reload anymore, is a callback to the comics where Robocop would reload through his wrists. The investigating with his RoboVision, highlighting things of interest, detecting people's heart rates, and more. You are Robocop. And I can't praise this game enough. This is my game of the year, and I am serious. It has no chance against Resident Evil 4 or Spider-Man 2, but I didn't care. I wanted to let everyone know what I thought the best game of 2023 was, and that is Robocop Rogue City. I hope you all enjoyed this entry into the A Look Into series, and as I hope you can see, I put a lot of effort into this video, more than any other videos. I told my Discord straight up, if this isn't my best video ever, I would essentially just quit YouTube. Since if I can't make a passionate video on something I hold close to my heart, then what's the point? This even took me weeks to prepare and make sure everything was how I wanted it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Check out my other Look Intos, and I will see you all next week.